Hi guys, and welcome back to Faster Podcast Season 2 Episode 8. Today we're talking about the MotoGP 2021 Spanish Grand Prix. This Grand Prix was at Jerez de la Frontera in Spain, and Jerez is quite good track, we see a lot of overtakes. It's a track that looks perfect for bikes like Yamaha, because it's a track where you have to let the bike go. You got a lot of big and fast turns, so it's perfect for Yamahas who got the very very good chassis. It's good also for Suzuki, but it's also a quite fast track where you have to have a lot of power, and Suzuki doesn't have it, so Suzukis are struggling a bit in this track. But Ducati also looks so good because they got a lot of power, but they don't have an easy bike to ride like Yamaha with a good chassis. So the drivers have to drive to ride over those little problems of the Ducati. But let's start from the race, because we had Quartararo starting from the pole position, and I thought, oh my god, we're going to have a race like last year's, like 2020, where Quartararo started from pole and won both the races. So I thought Quartararo was actually going to win this race, and it actually was, because Quartararo started in an amazing way. He immediately took the first place, while Ducatis were struggling a bit on the first one or maybe two turns, and they lost a bit of places. Then we've seen all the drivers for the entire first lap going good. This race also we didn't have many DNFs, because we had only Binder, who, my god, did a very bad race. Bastianini and Marquez, who almost didn't start it. He made like 10 turns and then crashed at the 11th. But coming back to the first lap, Ducati were struggling a bit, and Quartararo's Yamaha overall was actually flying. And Hondas were also struggling a bit with Paul Espargaro and Marc Marquez, and also with Alex Marquez, who crashed. Suzuki's weren't doing so good, because they started quite good, but then they actually didn't have the pace. And at the second lap, Rins crashed. He said that for the entire weekend he wasn't able to let the bike turn. In the turns he wasn't like feeling the bike. He had a strange feeling, a bad feeling, and he wasn't able to let the bike turn. So Rins crashed, and then immediately took his bike right and started again. And he had a good pace, but even though not good to win this, or not as good to win the race. Quartararo was actually flying, because in the first few laps he had a great gap, and Miller was following him quite close, like 3.5 seconds behind him. And also we saw like Morbidelli, Bagnaia, Nakagami, and overall Alex Espargaro with Aprilia, because he'd been in third place for quite a few laps, and some laps it felt like he was also going to try to attack Miller's second place, but then he didn't, and he lost a bit of places, and anyway ended the race in 6th place. That it's so good. And he won one more time. Aprilia, you can see that Aprilia is a good bike this year. Is bike where you could drive it easily and go fast in every single track of the season, or at least I wish. But right now, if Aprilia was fast at Portimao, was fast here in Spain, I think they are going to be fast in the entire season on every single track. Then we've seen from all the others, like Marc Marquez struggling a bit, but slowly keeping a pace and recovering like 2, maybe 3 places. But overall, he ended the race in front of his teammate Paul Espargaro, who has to end the race in front of Marc Marquez, just to think how Marquez is right now with his arm still not good as much as he would to have it. But then we seen Honda's every Honda struggling. Nakagami did an amazing fourth place at the end, but yeah, they were actually struggling. Also KTM's from the first laps they were in front, but then Binder crashed out and tried to restart, and he actually restarted and didn't have this good pace, but anyway he was in the top 10 when he crashed, so it was quite good. And then a few laps later he crashed again, so it was clear, that KTMs are struggling so much this year, a lot more than last year, because last year was the best bike made by KTMs, and this isn't the best. Then also we seen a great midfield battle during the entire race, all the time with KTMs, and with, for example, Zarco, with Pramac Ducati, with Marc Marquez, Paul Espargaro, and also just a bit with also Bradle. But on the last places of the field we had like Marini, Rossi, Rabat, Savadori, who all of these were fighting for actually the last few places and some points, like the 15th of Lecuona. But one more time, Rossi struggling so much. He's still in the very last places of the grid. Marini quite good because he ended the race in front of his brother and in front of Bastianini, who was one more time doing a top 15, a point finish, but crashed out this time, and he hadn't been able to finish it, to manage to take points also this race. Then you were seeing the race, you thought, okay, if we're going to have a bit of a battle, a bit of fight for this race, it's going to be for the top 10, for like 7th place, 6th place with Viñales, Mir, and also for that point, that 15th position with the very last riders of the grid. But then, what happened? At 10 laps to the end, Quartararo completely dropped his pace. Everyone thought he had a big drop of his tires, because since the first lap he was pushing so hard, but it actually was a drop from a lap to the lap later. So it's not a drop that you could have from the tires. So we actually weren't able to understand what was going on, because you were seeing him going like hammer time, like Hamilton. All the time he made the entire race at the same pace, at the same lap time. And then in an incredible ways, it had something like magic, dark magic, something like that. His pace completely dropped down. He wasn't able to go as fast as before, and then and then he was like a second and a half, some laps also 2 seconds slower than the riders he had behind him. That race would have been without any doubt Quartararo's race, because he would have made a perfect weekend and won the race. But then he had to let it go because of the compartmental syndrome. It's an injury where he had been operated for that in 2019. Happens so many times at so many riders, like Miller, like Aleix Espargaró, almost every rider. And in another episode I'm going to explain you what this compartmental syndrome is. And I'm also going to tell you why it happens overall to the riders. So anyway, he wasn't able to drive it, he wasn't able to stop his bike, he wasn't able to brake, he wasn't able to accelerate, he wasn't able also to keep his bike, because maybe if he had a bit of whoop, like sliding, a bit of sliding, he was able to put a lot of strength on the wheel and to keep it stable, you know. His bike was like sliding a lot. So he started to lose like a second and a half, 2 seconds a lap to all the other riders. And for a race which felt like it was going to end with Quartararo on the win, it was no more. We saw Miller taking Quartararo like in a few laps, like in 2 laps. Miller completely recovered the gap he lost, on the entire race, and overtook Quartararo in a so easy way. And also Bagnaia made it, and then we had Morbidelli, Spargaro, we had Mir, Nakagami, everyone overtook him. And then he just finished the race in 13th place. He made like 2 laps where it felt like he was going to recover his pace, and then dropped one more time. It was actually, he'd been so unlucky. At the end of the race, we saw him crying on his helmet, and we understood, okay, there's something wrong today with Quartararo, because we weren't able to understand if he was crying because he was angry or because he had a lot of pain. And by looking at his eyes, you could feel that he was crying for the pain. So we said, oh my god, what is happening here? Of course you were wishing it was everything okay, because losing a rider like him is like a shame, a very big shame. But then Miller and Bagnaia, Morbidelli, everyone thanks him, and just took his place in a so easy way. We had Miller in first place at the end of the race, which, oh my god, went one more time on the first place of the podium after Assen's Grand Prix in 2016, where he made an amazing drive in a very strange, tricky and difficult race. I think one of the hardest races ever, that one. And also Bagnaia and Morbidelli, who were fighting for the second place. We had Morbidelli in front and then Bagnaia behind, but Morbidelli also he had pushed so much on the first few laps to keep the pace of the first two, and then lost a bit of grip on his tires. And Bagnaia had been able, at 4 laps to the end, to overtake him and take the second position of the race. Then Morbidelli kept pushing all the time, and at the last turn of the penultimate lap, he completely went in so fast. He said in a post-race interview, that he thought, oh my god, this time I'm going to crash. I'm so fast, I actually can make it. So he went in so fast, too fast on that turn, and tried to stop the bike, but he wasn't able. He tried to make the turn, and his front tire closed. His front closed, and he made like a Marcus style save. He put it down his elbow, and then boom, one more time ride with the bike, and then keep turning and full gas on the straight, and let's go like that. It was, my god, an amazing save. It was actually crazy. And then he made a podium, actually. He made a podium. So if I have to give a mark to Miller, I have to give him a 10. A 10 because he made everything perfect. He was, for the first 2 laps, keeping the pace of Quartararo. Then Quartararo's pace was actually too strong and impossible to keep for everyone else, like in Portimao. To Quartararo, I give him a 9.5. Because he actually made anything he had to do. It was the perfect weekend, but he had this big trouble, and it's really a shame. It's really, really a shame. Then Morbidelli also and Bagnaia 9, both, because they did their race, good race. We could say that it's a full Italian podium, because we got 2 Italian bikes and 2 Italian riders. It's like almost a full Italian podium. But about Italians and Ducati overall, I have to say that a Ducati went back on the win at the earth since 2006 with Loris Capirossi. And we also have one to finish for Ducati since Burnout 2018, which was the last one with Dovizioso and Lorenzo. Right now we changed everything. Ducati is so different from the 2006 one, and also the team, the drivers are different, because in 2018 we had Lorenzo Dovizioso, right now we got Miller and Bagnaia. I think the ones who had to make more was Viñales, was Rins, and I have to say that it was also Paul Espargaro, because those three actually lost their battles, we could say. Because Rins ended the race in last place after crashing, and he's in last place, his teammate is in 5th place, and if he wants to win the championship, for sure he couldn't make it. He made a 2-0 in a row right now. Portimao, which was in 2nd place, and right now he was in 6th, 10th place, I don't remember exactly, and then he crashed and ended the race in last place. But then we got also Paul Espargaro, which ended the race like less than a second behind Marc Marquez, but ended the race behind not still good with his physique of Marc Marquez. So yeah, he lost his fight, we could say. But overall, I think Viñales, which ended up anyway in front of his teammate. But if we have to look at the entire weekend and overall at the race before Quartararo went in trouble, he lost. Also, he lost his fight. So yeah, Viñales is a very good rider, could win a championship, but he isn't constant at all. He's like a Luna Park his season. Every season he makes is a Luna Park. It's a up and down. Win, 10th place. Win, 10th place. He isn't able to be constant during an entire season. So guys, that's it. Thank you for having spent those minutes with me. See you next time. Bye bye. Ciao ciao.